All right. This webinar is being live streamed. Hello, everyone on YouTube. Welcome to Morning Startup. And we should be letting the participants in soon.
Yeah, there we go.
All right. Cool.
Right. Who's coming in? Let's have a look.
Attendees. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Morning Startup. We've got Barry, we've got Jack, got Ken, Peter, Hussein. Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good morning. All right, well, let's get into it. So my name is Scott Glue. I'm one of the organisers at Morning Startup, along with
myself, Dave. I can't take credit. Scott's the organiser here at the moment, so too busy. Head down. Trying to do a visit.
So if you haven't been to Morning Startup before, we usually run this at Riff down in St George's Terrace, and we are online at the moment for obvious reasons. But we do this every 2 weeks and we talk about startup related stuff. So we've got an interesting presenter for you, and usually you can network and meet other people in the startup ecosystem in Perth. Because we're on Zoom, the next best thing is to use the chat feature in Zoom to get to know everyone. And if I can just go to my next slide here, we are open. Sorry, giving you a sneak peek at our sponsors. Here we go. So shameless plugs and announcements. So if you've got a thing you're doing and you want the rest of the startup community to know, put it in the chat and do your shameless plug. If you're looking for developers or funding or something, do a little ask in there and let us know you're here. Just one quick trick. There is a little drop down in Zoom. It's set by default to like hosts and panelists. So just change that to everyone, so everyone can see what you're typing into the chat, not just us. Cool.
Perfect.
It's coming in. And while we're doing those shameless plugs, let's go through the sponsors.
Yes. In fact, I'm going to let Liam do his own here. I think.
I guess we should introduce Liam too. So our speaker today is Liam Barden. He's from first sponsor today, Ammo Marketing. And yeah, he's going to be talking about growth inside an existing culture and going through some of his favorite case studies, which I always like, looking at case studies, the way other businesses are doing things, and always provides a bit of inspiration for your own business. So g'day, Liam. What's Ammo Marketing all about?
Ammo Marketing is a growth marketing agency, first and foremost. And I suppose we specialize in helping people who have innovative businesses, innovative products and business models. And so we help them with strategy, we help them with brand, campaigns as well. And really we're just their sort of plug-in support team for everything that they might need, on their startup and founder journey. So that's really in the short of what we do. And, we try to do that the best we can in helping other people's teams.
Fantastic. And you've also got an amazing podcast as well called Weird Growth.
Yes, we do.
Anyone that hasn't been there before, go and subscribe to the Weird Growth podcast. Just search for Ammo Weird Growth. You'll find it in your favorite podcast player. And they've got interviews with Perth startup folk, innovation folk, and it's really entertaining and well worth a listen. Okay, cool. Thank you, Ammo. And Beecham.
Looking in the list, no, Glenn is not on today. But no, if you are looking for that new role at the moment, as I say, it's a great market out there. If you are talented or a developer or product manager or anybody really, there's loads of jobs out there at the moment. But if you are looking for that next role, then check out Beecham Group. And Glenn and the team, they'll be more than happy to help you. If you are a startup or a business looking to recruit your next talent, then also check out Glenn as well. And Glenn's been supporting the ecosystem for many years now. So yeah, always the go-to person for getting information and getting advice. So yeah, check out Beecham Group, boutique recruitment specialist here in Perth.
Do it. All right. And there's a ton of really supportive organizations in Perth as well. If you're new to the ecosystem, definitely recommend reaching out or getting connected with these guys. So the first, obviously, is Space Cubed, where we usually host Morning Startup at Riff. They've got a few other co-working spaces on St. George's Terrace as well, called Flux and Fern. So if you need a place to work, it's a great place to do it. And they also run a bunch of programs to help you be a better entrepreneur and learn about business and all of that stuff. So get around the guys at Space Cubed. And also Startup News. It's a really cool blog news site for Perth startups. So if you've got a story about your startup, send it to the guys at Startup News. They'll send a journo out to you and get your story and write it up. Or at least just subscribe, so you've got their newsletter coming to you every Friday and hearing about what's happening in the Perth startup community.
Yeah, and if you have got that startup and you're looking to take it to the next phase, then the applications are open for +8. If you've not heard about +8, it's our very own here in WA accelerator, run by the team at Space Cube. Now it's got some great sponsors behind it. It's backed by Better Labs. And I think they've got a fund this year about $500,000 to go out. So great accelerator. I think it's a 6-month program and applications are open now. So if you want more information, go to the Space Cube website or just Google +8 as you see it there. And for more information, and there's been some great companies come out of +8.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
one company called OVAS or something Tasker.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, they're still going. Yeah, one still alive. If you are in the city and we wish you only want a coffee, then go and check out Voltage Espresso. Normally, like I say, if we were there, we'd be getting our coffees from them, but the great team at Voltage Espresso been supporting Morning Startup for many, many, many years. I mean, it's a decade now. We should have a decade party.
Keep threatening to do that. But it requires organization.
Exactly.
And when you're a startup founder yourself, it's really hard to organize other things.
Exactly. I think last time I had to become a licensee to enable everybody. That was a pain experience. And check out TechBoard as well, techboard.com.au, helping Australian startups get noticed. Peter and the crew got some good reports there, funding reports coming out. Go and claim your profile and start posting what you're doing on TechBoard.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for helping us out along this way. And if you want to get in touch with us, we're always looking for cool presenters to talk to the startup community and teach them awesome things. So the best way to get in touch with us is probably our email address, contact@morningstartup.com. But yeah, feel free to hit us up on Twitter, Facebook, Slack, or through the meetup page, all of the things, or LinkedIn. LinkedIn's not on here. We need to add that.
Exactly. We didn't mention announcements, but there's not many shout outs today, which is somewhat disappointing, I think. Come on
guys, where are your shameless plugs?
You want to hear about it, these shameless plugs.
Here we go. Paul's got one. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
come chat with us about your startup side project ideas with Indie Hackers Perth. Absolutely. So go to Meetup, search for Indie Hackers Perth. Just like Morning Startup, there's a group for indie hackers. If you're in that community, or even not in the community and just want to attend, I'm sure Paul will have you. Yeah, I keep meaning to get to Indie Hackers Perth. Sorry, Paul, I still haven't been yet. I need to do it.
Yes, and there was announcements. Do you know any other than the +8 applications are open? Do we know of any stuff that's going on in the ecosystem?
Look, we had a talk last week from Charlie, who announced it's not called Innovation Vouchers anymore. It's called the Innovation Booster Grant. So if you're looking for small amounts of funding for your startup, go and check out our meetup from 2 weeks ago. It's on YouTube. So just look for Morning Startup on YouTube and have a watch of that. So if you're looking for about 20K in funding, there's a way that you can apply for that. And there was also another grant that came out or was announced around the same time with a different name, the Investment Fund or something. Names. It's too early in the morning. But yeah, there's been some cool sort of government announcements on funding for startups. So check out our previous meetup 2 weeks ago. That's all that comes to mind at the moment. Otherwise, head to startupnews.com.au and check out all the Perth startup-y announcements there.
Perfect.
All right, cool. Let's move on. Woo, who's this guy? So, as I said, we've got Liam from our lovely sponsor, Ammo Marketing, here talking about using culture to drive business growth. I just asked Liam sort of what he does at Ammo just before this went live, and he said he basically drives his motorcycle and goes fishing. So it sounds like a pretty cool job at Ammo Marketing. But I'm going to hand over to Liam now. I'll stop sharing my screen and let you share yours, and you can introduce yourself. And I think you also do operations and accounts management at Ammo too, but yeah,
I do some work. Yeah.
All right, so please make him welcome, Liam Barden. Woo!
Cool, mate. How long do I have to talk? What's the time frame?
So yeah, look, let's 8:30.
Okay.
So you've got half an hour or so.
Okay, cool.
Good a while.
I'll just share screen.
All right.
All right.
Do some background beatboxing or something.
It's strange not being able to see the audience. I thought I'd be able to. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem with this this webinar format. Yeah, we can promote everyone to a panelist and see your nice faces, but it's a bit early in the morning. People might be in their pajamas.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. All right, I'll get started. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Liam. I'm from Ammo Marketing. I am the accounts manager at Ammo. So everyone who has the distinct pleasure of working at with Ammo also gets to chat with me on a daily and weekly, monthly kind of cadence. And I try to do my best to, service everyone as good as we can. Maybe a little bit about my background. I'm sort of one of the lesser known, I guess, sort of founding members of Ammo. But my background is in anthropology, sociology, and literary and cultural studies. So I don't have any background in business or marketing whatsoever. But I sort of realized pretty quickly, and after I finished my degree, that what I was lacking was any kind of business knowledge or anything to do with economics as well. And I think when you do a humanities degree, you're almost sort of taught that capitalism's the bad guy, and you should definitely avoid it at all costs. And my kind of personality is if you tell me something is bad or is dangerous or should be stayed away from, I'd say that's a good excuse to actually get into it. And so I started learning all about economics and business, and I eventually found startups, and it seemed to appeal to me because it was like a bit of an antidote to the possibility of going into like a corporate job. And after sort of searching around the internet for a while, even maybe 5 years ago, I eventually came across Cam Sinclair. Like, he wasn't too hard to find in the startup community. He had a couple of YouTube videos on him talking about what he'd done as a freelancer at Ammo, and I eventually got in contact with him, and it turned out at the time he was hiring and he wanted to turn Ammo into an actual business. And he seemed to see some potential in me, and and now we're all building a business together. So that is my background, and let's get into what we're going to chat about today. So culture as a growth channel is what I'm going to be talking about today, and this is primarily around B2C businesses. I'm going to be going through a few little case studies of businesses that I like. One of them is a client of ours as well, and we're going to try and answer this question: what has culture and community got to do with growing a business? So I think in the startup world, people often talk about culture and community as something that's internal. You're making sure you hire the right people for your business, and making sure that that kind of internal culture you have is applied and relegated by certain processes and so on. And I think that's really important in growing a business, even if it's small, like our business at Ammo, or it's scalable. But today we're going to be talking about culture and community, or building businesses for cultures and communities that already exist. And I think it's easy to understand this if you think about your hobbies and pastimes and things like that, and the kind of cultures and communities that are surrounded by that. So like, you know, if you're into, say, rock climbing or fishing or, you know, ice skating, what kind of cultures and communities are surrounded by that? Because more often than not, B2C businesses are built around the kind of passions and hobbies and things that people have when they see a market opportunity or a space for improvement, as opposed to, say, B2B businesses where people are building, you know, software in the startup community for problems that they see in their workplace or in that sort of thing. So these are some of the brands that we're going to be going through today. New Me Surgery, who's been a client of Ammo for, well, maybe a couple of years now. Yeti Outdoors. Do many of you guys know or have heard of Yeti Outdoors? Yeti products? It'd be cool if people could put their hand.
Yeah, it's a bit hard for people to answer. Just
yeah, I know.
Yeah, in the chat.
Yeah, last time I gave this talk, no one actually knew because I gave it last September, which is strange because this is one of the biggest outdoors companies in the world with a $5 billion valuation. Now it's probably gone up.
Far out.
Yeah, the fact that people didn't know, maybe that's like a part of startup culture. People need to shut their laptops maybe a bit more and head outside. So. And Mutt motorcycle. So I own a Mutt motorcycle. This one I bought it must be over a year now. So Yeti and Mutt are two products I use personally, and I think they're a good case study, as with New Me as well. So New Me Surgery. New Me have been a client of Ammo's for a couple of years now, and it's founded by Mr. Matt Henderson, who is a bariatric surgeon. A little bit about Matt. Matt was part of a firm. A bunch of older guys who were, you know, running a business, and they were kind of letting off the steam a bit, but Matt didn't feel as though he was being given the opportunity to, you know, to become a partner or something like that. And he saw, you know, in his business of doing surgery, you know, this is like a lat band surgery, stomach clamping, bypass surgery for people who are largely obese, that they weren't getting that kind of pre-operative and post-operative care that he saw was necessary. So a lot of the patients, you know, they don't become obese just because they love eating food. There's often underlying causes, psychological problems, depression, post-trauma, bullying. The list is endless that comes into play when someone actually needs to get surgery for obesity. That's often applied with different comorbidities and that kind of thing. So Matt decided he would leave and create New Me is a completely different form of business that really gives these people the kind of help they need. So on the left here, I have three different things that I see are pretty much important components for each of these businesses. And one is brand differentiation, unique product offering with a niche market, and a product built within and for a pre-existing community and culture. So, I mean, I wouldn't say there is a culture of obesity that that Matt has built this business for, but there is definitely a community of people who get together on Facebook and help each other, hold each other accountable to their weight loss journey. And that's something that Matt has really tapped into. So this picture on the left here is a product called Circle, which you might want to write this down if you're actually looking into tapping into communities, but it's a gated community. It has the potential for having a paywall, but what it does is offer Matt the ability to control the type of advice that people are given within this community as they talk as though they would on Facebook. So some of the communities that we found when actually helping Matt was, Australian Bariatric Support Group, and some of these places on Facebook have up to 80,000 people giving advice on, mental wellness, fitness, diet, and so on. But a lot of the advice given by these people isn't stuff that would be normally suggested by professionals and surgeons. So capturing that community and putting it in into Circle has been a big part of Matt's business as New Me. So when you go through your surgery, you get given a box with a QR code in it. You get sent to the new community page, and you're given a Fitbit, access to fitness communities where there's almost gamified fitness challenges, like walking from Perth to Albany over the course of 6 months in terms of your steps and that kind of thing. So it's it's giving people challenges, giving people access to dietitians, psychologists, and recipes and all kinds of things in a community that is, you know, people going through the exact same journey into becoming their new me, hence the branding. So you can see by the branding, you know, in terms of differentiation, this is unlike anything you're really going to see in the surgery area. It's wholesome. It's not focused on the scalpel. It's focused on the future. So, you know, as you can see, brand differentiation, and that's something we helped him with in terms of creating a new minimum viable brand. Our designer, Alex DiGiovanni, he calls this zigging when everyone else is zagging. And there is a book he often recommends on this, if you want to write that one down. And Alex has done a talk last year on creating a minimum viable brand that will do everything you need it to do for a price that's affordable for startups and small businesses. So that's one, sorry, that we especially love doing at Ammo is creating new brands for people in this minimum viable brand sort of package. So Matt's a surgeon. He knows exactly who he's talking to. He knows his customers. He knows their problems inside and out, and he has really created this business for those people. You know, being in the community and culture, he understands them inside and out, and it's cool to see this business really hitting its straps. I think one thing that is going to be the same across a lot of these B2C businesses is that you are also going to be having the problem of turning your business also into a media company as well. You're not just, Matt is no longer just a surgeon. He's also a filmographer and a photographer and all these other things to provide all the content for these communities. So, and keeping that culture going. But really the culture existed before he actually started this business, and really he's just tapping into it and facilitating the machinery around what people need helping with. So that is new me. And the next one is Yeti Outdoors. So a little story on the origins of Yeti. Yeti was started by two brothers who are fly fishermen in the South in America. I don't know if you guys know much about fly fishing. It's not really something that's popular in Australia. Australia, we use spin rods and that kind of thing. But in Europe and America, the way that you learn to fish is often through fly fishing. And it's a little bit more like hunting than fishing here, where you just dump a lure or a bunch of bait off the side of your boat or throw it in off the beach. With fly fishing, you're actively looking for fish on the surface of the water because the line floats on the water. And in America's South, people use like a dinghy which has a flat top. They call it a skiff. And there's often someone on like a podium with a giant pole, like a gondola. And he's a guide, and he's showing you where the fish are. And you load up your rod and fire your line out to those fish and start stripping. And hopefully they take the bait. And that's part of the excitement of fly fishing, is seeing the fish attack your lure on the surface. So what these guys often do is they use coolers, you know, something that you might find from Bunnings as their platform for having a higher vision over the water. And they found that these really sort of shitty coolers were breaking on them constantly, and they were sick of it. So these two brothers decided that they would create their own. Initially, it was out of wood, and it had like a real sturdy base, and they put like the inside of another cooler in so they could keep all their drinks and fish cool if they caught any. And they eventually sort of thought, okay, let's take our product to the next level. And they started roto molding these coolers that they thought, okay, let's do something completely different and let's build the absolute shit out of this. We don't ever want to buy another cooler ever again. And then they started giving it to all their guiding buddies, and it really just grew from there. It became almost like a prestige product because they whacked a $300 US price tag on the thing for something that was never going to break. And well, they just gave it to everyone that was in their fly fishing and hunting community, along with stickers and caps and all that kind of thing. And it really just grew from there. I mean, now they're a $5 billion valuated company that has really just expanded outside of the hunting community and fly fishing community into a lifestyle brand, based on the fact that they're overbuilding all of these products for people who live very kind of, you might say, dangerous and adventurous lives, you know. And part of that brand that they've created has now been taken up by people with the money to afford a cooler, when all they're going to do is go to Dunsborough and, you know, have a swim at Castle Rock and maybe check out Sugarloaf as well. But part of that adventurous brand feeling is imparted and radiated onto them. So again, brand differentiation. Yeti created something that no one had ever seen for a very, very niche community in the hunting world and fly fishing world. And they built it for them from within that culture, because they themselves were fly fishermen. They knew all of the guides in fly fishing. They knew all the hunters. They, you know, they kitted them out all for free, decked them out with stickers, hats, merch, very little paid digital marketing in the initial stages of the business. What they did rely on, though, was after they did start marketing, was some very cool viral marketing. So these guys would give the coolers to, like, say, Marines who would throw them out of a Hercules full of drinks. And then when it landed, the whole thing was still intact. And the Marines would start drinking all the cool beers inside of it. They packed it with meat and just surrounded it with grizzly bears. And the grizzly bears, as you can see in this photo, couldn't get into it, just to show off how tough this product is and why it actually deserves it demands such a premium price. And yeah, they really just went from there. As I was researching Yeti products, I came across a bit of a story on them. And it was about a woman who'd actually bought around about $10,000 worth of Yeti products. And she worked a white collar office job, but she mentioned she drank the Kool-Aid so much that what Yeti represented to her when she was sitting in front of her computer, when she put a water bottle on the table, was that her identity was more intrinsically tied with her sense of adventure, going out, you know, exploring glaciers and going exploring forests and things with her husband, than it was, you know, to her work or anything like that. And that's why she'd spent so much money on these products, because that feeling had radiated onto her in just her day-to-day life. And I think really that's any brand's absolute dream, is to be able to sell that to someone, that feeling that they impart through their products and through the culture that their product is actually built for. So Yeti's one of my favorite products. I own maybe $500 worth of their stuff, and it hasn't broken yet. So, and it's exactly for me. I'm a fly fisherman myself. That's why I bought it. I drank the Kool-Aid enough that it was easy for me to make the decision. So yeah. The next one is motorcycles. So I've always been into bikes, you know, cycling. I grew up racing BMX and doing downhill mountain biking, that kind of thing. But I never owned a motorcycle, and it was becoming very obvious to me that I needed one maybe 2 years ago. And motorcycles was one that I came across by going to Triumph in Balcatta as a learner rider and pointing at a Triumph Bonneville with a 900cc engine and going, I'd like to buy this one. The guy at Triumph said, I can't sell you any bikes here, mate. You need to, if you want a custom looking Bonneville, you go find motorcycles. They make something exactly for you. They make a low capacity motorcycle around 250 cc's. So if you're a learner rider, you can't ride anything above 600, but you can buy something that's exactly what Mutt have created. So Mutt are a company from Birmingham in England, and they're a custom motorcycle builder where they build very expensive bikes, you know, high-powered Triumphs, BMWs, and particularly Harley-Davidson choppers. And they saw young guys, you know, like me, were coming in going, I'd love to buy a bike, but you know, in Britain, they have pretty similar laws to we have in Australia as well. It's actually slightly more strict. So what they started doing was putting together what looks like a Triumph Bonneville with a 250cc Suzuki engine and customizing it so it looked like something that Steve McQueen would have rode when he was alive. You know, something very cool, something very pared back, something that just looks exactly like the way a child would draw a motorcycle. So it exudes all of that kind of retro coolness, but it doesn't have a premium price tag. And what these guys started doing was putting these motorcycles together and putting them in the front of their shop, and they started selling like hotcakes. Young guys are coming in, buying them straight off and pretty much riding them straight out of the shop. So they started giving them to barbers, cafe owners, all that kind of thing. And they sold like crazy. So their brand differentiation here is not just a really cool retro motorcycle, but it's a motorcycle built for a community of learner riders who want something that's extremely cool at an affordable price. These bikes, you know, they look like they cost about 20 grand, but really they cost around 7,000 Australian dollars, brand new. So Mutt Motorcycles have created not just a brand around this product, but they're niches within a niche for learner riders. And the community that they facilitate around the motorcycle is, you know, not just one you drive straight out of the shop, but you also have meetups with groups of people who are getting together to enjoy music, coffee, food, you know, conversation. And within motorcycles, I think there's a few different even cultures and communities within riding bikes. You've got people who really enjoy custom bikes, who are more about the aesthetics and sort of throwback retro styling. You've got people who really enjoy sports bikes. And often, like when I'm riding around, you pull up somewhere in the hills, you'll get asked by a couple of guys, like, nice bike, mate. You know, I've had a few guys, my mates, 3 of them are dead from riding motorcycles. So and it's often from riding sports bikes. So those are the ones you often find statistically will be ending up in the bushes, up in the hills. And then you have people who use scooters and motorcycles purely as a form of utilitarian transport. They don't give a shit about the aesthetics of them. They're out in the rain, in the sun, they look like crap, but really they do their job. And it's similar to how people might ride motorcycles and scooters in Southeast Asia. So, you know, this is motorcycles are already pretty niche. There's only 3% of the Australian population actually ride motorcycles. So, and they've created even a smaller niche within that niche. And Mutt Motorcycles, they've been building customs since the beginning. So they knew exactly who their community was, who they were building bikes for, and now they're actually gone global, really. They've got, you know, big warehouses where people can come and chill out, listen to music, get food, ride and talk with people in their communities all together. So they've done an absolutely, I'd say, fantastic job of doing that. I do wish I got a different bike though. It's kind of like, I find the 250 a little bit precarious when riding on the freeway or down south, because it's basically like 5th gear pinned to go 110 and there's no room to move. So they've really built for commuting, and it's perfect for just coming straight into work or just heading down the beach. And really that's exactly who they were going for. Another product with great brand differentiation, unique offering for a unique market. And they've built, you know, within and for a pre-existing community and culture of motorcyclists. So what has community and culture got to do with growing a business? And so this is kind of wrapping up these sort of 3 sort of case studies here. So know and understand your core customer persona like they're your best friend. To effectively use community and culture as a growth channel, you should personally belong to the community and culture your product was built for and within. This is the most authentic channel for growing your business. So it really doesn't make much sense to me to go outside and try and create something for something that you don't have a personal connection to, because you're not going to understand those key personas that you're going to be targeting with your product. You're not going to be able to target your messaging in a way that they understand, and your kind of brand aesthetic is probably going to be off. I mean, working with different clients on a day-to-day basis, primarily in the B2B space, you even see that kind of it's that misalignment between who the product is for and what it looks and sounds like. People often have you know, great ability at creating, you know, technical products, but the ability to actually connect that to people within a community. And there's plenty of communities that exist within the B2B community as well. Morning Startup is a perfect example of a community and culture that's facilitated by, you know, Scott and the rest of the team, in terms of not just learning about business and products, but also getting together and making friendships, drinking together, and all that kind of thing that comes with it. So yeah, I mean, like I've got a little side project at the moment. It's called Lower Depths. And it's really, I saw a gap in the market for motorcycle clothing for hotter climates. Most of it's all built for places in Europe. In America, a lot of people don't even wear safety gear because you don't even have to wear a helmet in like 40 states or something. But that's something that, you know, I'm personally a part of, and I want to give it a shot to see how that goes. So I've already got a bit of distribution without any kind of digital marketing whatsoever at Rogue Motorcycles in West Perth, just in some t-shirts and stuff. So I'm going to see how they sell, see if people like it, and then continue on from there. So that's another kind of way that, being a part of the culture and stuff is so much more easy to grow a business and be a part of that community if you're in it and you can talk face to face with those people. Just to wrap up, I think I'll have a little chat about Ammo as another kind of case study. So at Ammo Marketing, we don't actually do much digital marketing, although for a while there, we were actually pummeling a lot of people with a fair bit of remarketing pre-roll. I know some of the guys at Morning Startup mentioned it a couple of times I was there that they'd seen our videos playing on YouTube too many times. But what we do is we are all a part of the community. Jack Hallam, Cam Sinclair, our director, has been part of the startup community in Perth for a very long time. And it's really always been about helping people for free, giving our advice from our experience from working with over 250 different startups and small businesses these days, and really just giving talks, sharing our experiences as part of our kind of flywheel. And by the time people are interested in working with us, they've already seen us at events, they've had chats with us, they've heard us on things like this, they trust us and know that we're there to help them. So if anyone likes what we do, come have a chat. That's what it's all about. So being part of the culture and community, it really means that we don't have to do much digital marketing ourselves. We're not out there like pummeling you on LinkedIn with ads asking for you to come click our call to action on our website. People already know us. By the time they come and do it, they probably just have a conversation with us or get on the phone. So yeah. One other thing we have as well as part of our community is Weird Growth. So Cam and Jack run a podcast where Cam chats with different founders about their trials and tribulations and the growth and success stories in their business. There's plenty of content on there for everybody, really, and there's some cool stories, funny ones. It goes through the whole gamut of emotion that founders go through when starting a business. And yeah, that is my talk.
Woo!
It's a bit weird. I don't usually stare at the screen when I'm doing these things. Like usually I face the crowd and it keeps me actually more focused rather than rambling. So
yeah, that's right. Well, hopefully we'll be back at Riff anytime soon and we can get back to the experience of interaction and all of that stuff.
Yeah, I much prefer it when you can even ask questions or have people interact.
Indeed. Well, look, if anyone does have any questions, just throw them in the chat. I see there's a bit of interest here from Ben on the minimum viable brand that you were talking about before.
Yeah.
Are you able to share any more information on that, like how to get started, or how to look into that a little bit more?
Maybe I should share like one of the minimum viable brands we've actually done for Digital X.
Okay, sounds great.
Am I still? I'm still screen sharing. I exit here. Yeah, so Digital X have a product arm, which is fronted up by David Barros. And so Drawbridge is a product that, he came to us and pitched, which stops ASX listed companies trading in blackout periods. Blackout periods are sort of no trade zones, and it's sort of, this product really prevents people doing that and insider trading. So if you're a CEO, you want to actually minimize the risk of people actually doing this. Or even the CEO doing it themselves, because often they can end up on the cover of AFR and have millions of dollars of fines placed on them. So our kind of process of doing the MVBs is naming and then aesthetics. So really the fun part is sort of just talking shit around what is actually, the problem. And then really we get on the whiteboard and we start just naming and just going through it like that. And running off on tangents. So any name might have synonyms attached to it that you can really go down the rabbit hole on. So this is sort of like maybe the thinking was sort of security, what is secure, And we got into sort of medieval stuff like forts and that kind of thing, and really a fort with a moat around it, and the drawbridge is what allows things to enter and exit is what we kind of landed on here for drawbridge. And then from there, with the name that we all kind of agree on is cool, and then we pitch it to David and the team at Digital X and see what they think as well. Then we get to work on creating a brand identity with an amount of colors that are really going to do the job for a minimum viable brand. This is not a full fleshed out brand system or anything like that, but it's something that's going to look sick on a website that is going to really carry you and be flexible to enough to accommodate a full-blown brand in the future. So you don't need to redo it. And often the problem with rebranding is people are so attached to what they've already created that it becomes too difficult for them to make the decision on creating something new. So, I mean, as you can see here, David and the team have fully built out all the software with their devs and UX and UI guys, and we put it together in something that's really does the job for a startup.
Did you get involved in the actual messaging and the content, or was it mainly around the design and the brand?
Well, someone like Dave will give us the content, and we'll often sharpen it up and make sure it's messaging is clear and simple.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so you get all the guidelines.
I heard a simple quote the other day about what like a website landing page should do. It's like, do you get it? Do you want it? And can you take action? Those are the three things a website should do.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Is it explaining the problem? Does it make you actually want it? And if so, can you actually click a button and get it or take action in some way?
Oh, of course, yeah. So we make sure that it's simple, included in free trial. Everything is sort of given to you for what you might need to actually think about before you start putting your email in. Everyone's asking for an email these days. Yeah. Let people know what they're getting before they sign up. Otherwise, they're going to have to delete you from their inbox almost immediately if they don't, if you start giving them something they don't want. So, yeah, I mean, that's sort of the process around that, cool. Building minimum viable brand. I was trying to find the guidelines page because we also house all of the brand guidelines, colors, fonts, everything that you need, and logos in all the various formats that you're going to need for social media, for your website, for print, for screen. Everything is included in the MVB. So
right, all your brand guidelines, how to use it. Cool.
No, we love doing these. Honestly, this is one of my favorite things to do at Ammo is help out with MVBs, because you get to see the whole product come to life.
So guys, if there's any more questions, throw them in the chat. I do have one though. Do you see any common mistakes that startups or brands might make trying to engage with a community that might already be there and sort of just turning up like, hello, fellow kids kind of thing?
Yeah, for sure. I think the number one mistake is thinking that you can create a community around your product. The community and culture has to exist for you to actually be able to tap into it. If you rock up on Reddit forum that's about this and that and start trying to sell your product to them, like you said, that like the howdy teenagers kind of thing, you're just going to get rejected immediately. Like, you essentially have to be a member of that community before you start trying to create something for them or start trying to sell to them. People are very they're very wary of being sold to. Often, if it's the community exists online, no one's going to want to hear about your product unless you're a trusted and respected, cool member of that community. I wouldn't just go straight to like a motorcycle meetup and start trying to flog people's stuff. Like, I'd have to be friends with them before that and give them to them for free. And in a sense, they will actually want to actually choose to use my product because they like me, they like what I'm actually creating. So yeah, definitely do not go around trying to create culture and community. It really has to exist before you head in there.
Yep. I've seen, I'm a member of quite a few Slack groups and things, and sometimes you just get link bombers. They'll come in and say, hey, I do this, and this is a link. We don't mind it in the Zoom chat. We actually ask for that stuff, so the shameless plugs. But if there's a community out there, don't just do that and drop a link to your thing and then bugger off. You actually got to engage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm
awesome.
Reading a couple of other comments.
Yeah, so there's a few sort of double downs on that. So Paul Balladin,
there's Paul there.
says, I think social was the opportunity a few years ago, then social advertising. And I think now that that's been done by everyone, building an authentic brand in your community is the big opportunity for organizations to connect at a much deeper level with their tribe.
Yeah,
absolutely.
100%. Yeah. And I think one thing I forgot to mention in this was that all of these businesses did not begin by doing digital marketing whatsoever. They didn't go out trying to fire out advertising cold. They started using digital marketing and different types of marketing later on. And it really used digital marketing to kind of tap along what they'd already created. You know, these products were already quite popular without any marketing whatsoever. You know, in terms of like by marketing, I mean like pay-per-click. Mutt used influencers on Instagram. They just give them bikes, review it, hashtag it, make stories, and then it gets shared infinite amount of times across people who have Instagram pages on motorcycles where there's just thousands of pictures. I mean, I look at these things all the time. I don't get bored of it, and neither does anyone else. And this is a great way to actually show off products, particularly in the B2C space, because so many of them are Instagrammable and are surrounded by, you know, hobbyists, people who are super passionate about it. So yeah,
helps to have a cool looking product that looks good on Instagram. What about I don't know, daggy enterprise software companies, things like that might not have a cool looking product, but you know, they've got an audience out there that have a common problem?
I think because at Ammo we deal a lot with, you know, daggy enterprise software and stuff like that, but I think doing an MVP that makes your product almost like borrows from the aesthetic stylings of B2C is not hard. Like, not hard to make your software look sick. Like, look at products like Figma or Asana. They almost market their B2B software like it's something cool, something you would wear a t-shirt of. Yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't wear an Asana t-shirt, but if they gave me one for free, I'd probably wear it. I use Asana all the time, but they're creating software that looks really beautiful, is easy to use. And I think that's how people should go about creating even the daggiest B2B software. Fill the world with attractive things.
That's right. I think the time of creating daggy enterprise software is gone. You know, you've really got to focus on design and UX anyway. So more and more of these old enterprise companies are getting taken over by the new cool young guys doing the same thing, but better.
Doing the same thing, but better, and focusing heavily on creating content that's useful and valuable to those customers, and really giving it to them for free.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, and so when that person is ready to actually go and buy that product, they've already engaged with your brand. They already know who you are. In a certain sense, you're already creating a bit of community around that too.
There's a question there that's coming from around how do they engage with yourselves, Liam? Ammo, obviously they are based in Perth. So how's the best way to get in contact with yourself?
You can just go to our website, or you can just email me at liam@ammo.marketing. Just go to our website, fill in. We've got a little type form down the bottom, and Cam will get in touch with you. And really, the first step is just coming in for a meeting, usually having a chat, having a coffee or a drink or something like that, and just seeing what your problems are. I mean, nowadays, I think, you know, it'd probably be more of a Zoom type thing. Alex in our business, he got COVID this week, so there's potential that we all have that too now. Don't know. I think I had it last week, but I was doing the rat test wrong. I wasn't shoving it hard enough up my nose, so
gotta get it right up there, mate.
Yeah, so we're super easy to get in touch with. You know, usually people just come into the office and sit down, have a drink, and have a chat, and just go from there. I mean, next steps after that is, if you're a good fit, is having a strategy session with Cam and Jack, and then after, if there's any kind of relationship there for retainer or project like MVB or website, then you get to talk to me.
There is a question on, can you give us a rough timeline on cost and things, but I'll let that go to it. I'm guessing it's how long's a piece of string? Everyone's different.
So we don't have like sort of flat fees like that. It's more sort of project by project and scope and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
Okay. And there's a little bit of confusion over the book that you mentioned. So minimum viable brand, that's something you guys came up with, or is there a book on minimum viable brand?
No, there's no book on minimum viable brand. Our minimum viable brand is really based on building a minimum viable product and testing it. So if someone's got a startup and they've only just got product market fit, and they've got a limited budget, but they want their product to look really good and have that kind of professional presence and a differentiated brand, then minimum viable brand is something we created for them.
Cool.
Yeah. So maybe it is something that's unique to us, but yeah. What is this?
Make a book. Looks like people want a book.
Yeah. I'm looking up this book here. I think it's called Zig Before You Zag, or I should have looked this up before I mentioned it.
I think Jack put it in the chat. The book is called Zag by Marty Neumeier.
Yeah, Marty Neumeier. That's the one. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Grab that, guys. Great. Yeah. Well, any other questions? I think we're good.
Cool.
Well, that was awesome. I hope everyone got something out of that and some inspiration to go on with your Wednesday and the week for great success. Dave, anything else from you?
Nothing other than I'm going to start promoting everybody to panelists so we can see your beautiful faces if you're in your pajamas or your onesie. Here we go. It's 8:20. You should be at work. So, promoting everyone to panelists now, so we'll see what's going on. But nothing from me. Who have we got next week, Scott? Or the week in 2 weeks' time?
Yes, it's a very good question. We have how to build a scalable business from day one with sorry, I'm trying to pull up with Duncan Blandford. Sorry, I was blanking on your name, Duncan. If you're watching this, totally embarrassed. So he's from Profit Society. He's been attending Morning Startup for a little while now, and he's got some cool nuggets of wisdom that he's come across working with lots of businesses, including people like, sorry, I'm not doing a very good plug for you here. I thought we had, oh man, have I not updated the meetup page? Sorry, I've got more stuff to add to the meetup page. So I'm going to announce that today, but go to morningstartup.com and you get a sneak preview of what's coming up next week or in 2 weeks' time. But it's all about, building a scalable business from the start. So what structures do you need to put in place? If you've got, I want to reach 1 million people, what do you need to be thinking about right now as you're registering your company?
Perfect. Look forward to it. So I can only assume that Cam, Cindy, Dylan, Ken, Miguel, Neem, and Poe are still in their pajamas. So we won't bother them too much. But thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll be back here. We're online again, aren't we, Scott, in 2 weeks?
I believe so. Yeah, we'll see how things pan out. But yeah, I think we'll stay online for a little bit because people are a little bit reluctant just to still meet face to face and getting sick and then having to hunker down for 7 days. So yeah, we'll keep this online for a little while.
Perfect. No worries. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll see you back here in 2 weeks' time. Cheers.
Great to see you.
Hopefully that was useful.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks, Liam. Enjoy your day ahead.